Good morning, everybody. Good night for some of you guys. I see many faces from around the world, and I know for some of you it's 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I'm so happy to welcome today our dear president, Mauricio Sulaimán, who's been around the world lately, and our dear president from the Ring Officials Committee and Vice President Duane. Welcome both. And of course, Christian, our Director of Engagement, who always have a great word to share with us from WBC Cares. I just want to welcome, and I'm so happy to have this masterclass today. Christian, please, welcome.
Thank you, Xochitl. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Hello, nice people. Well, in WBC Cares, the word of the month has been freedom. And because we have dedicated this month to Juneteenth, which is honoring and reflecting the meaning of freedom. Not only in history, but also in our lives. Our days belong to us. And with freedom begins when we decide what to do and the choices that we make. But with freedom also comes responsibility. And we have to be aware of those choices that we make and be responsible for them. And always be aware that we belong to a society where we have to be responsible for us and then for everyone else, because we are not here alone. So every choice we make and every decision we make will have consequences. So we have to be very careful and responsible about our freedom. Remember that.
I love the reflection. It's also mean like taking responsibility for your actions, right?
For everything and your choices and everything.
Great. Well, Mauricio, all yours. Duane, this
Thank
is your masterclass.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The word of the month is very valuable, freedom. It's so important to understand. It was the WBC when we instituted the Juneteenth Freedom Belt. It was when Charlo fought Castaño, and as a great coincidence, in that same week, the President of the United States instituted Juneteenth as a national holiday, official. So this week, we have Tiara Brown fighting, and we have created these beautiful freedom belts that have been fought by some of the Charlos, some fighters like Cruz Azorn, another woman won it last year. This year's another woman, Tiara Brown, fighting for it. But it is just a matter of reminding how important, how difficult life has been to so many. Discrimination and alienation is something that is unacceptable. I was just in South Africa, and I can tell you the WBC, we are heroes for everyone in South Africa for all those years that the WBC stood together fighting apartheid. Today's topic or main issue that we're going to be discussing is referees. I'm very happy to have Duane Ford, who is my master and he has been such a great inspiration and supporter to be the ring officials chairman for such a long time. I'm so happy to see so many friendly faces from all over the world. I see Jack Reese, Mark Lyson, Phil Austin, Tim Cheatham, Barry, Stephen, Farro from Panama, Castañón, who's the Uber driver now, and so many friends from all over. We have interesting topics. So I will pass it on to Duane to begin. But this one specifically, we want to hear from you. We want to discuss, to put out questions, to put out scenarios, and hear from you. And the idea is to get to a uniform mechanism uniform thought process for the referees. My brother Hector called me this past weekend. We have Mark Lyson here, who was the referee in Egypt, and he will tell us about it. That's one of the scenarios we're going to discuss. But my brother Hector put it in very nice words. The referee is not a timekeeper. The referee is a life keeper. You don't need to know how many seconds are there left in a round, if it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I have seen referees stop the fight after the bell rings, when the fighter is walking back to the corner, even during the resting period. So time is not of essence. In this case, it was coincidental, and one of the very tough situations that we all face in boxing is the commentary from the broadcasters. We were watching a very entertaining, surprising fight by Rico, who was disregarded by everyone, heavyweight champion in kickboxing. Nobody believed in the WBC approval for that to be a championship fight. And then all of a sudden, the fight is even. It's very close. He's doing very well. But then we saw what happened. Duane, should we jump in direct with Mark Lyson and have him explain what he went through, and then hear from everybody?
Well, I think that would be a good idea. I think Mark did a good job. I think, and I would like to hear him explain the situation and how he handled it, or how he didn't want to do X or Y. Yeah. Mark, are you out there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes. Hello, everybody. Yes. Yeah, it was a good fight, I thought, a good competitive fight. Both boxers were in it. I thought Rico done a lot better than everybody expected in the build-up. As a referee, I didn't take much notice to that. You know, we have to, be professional, but you still hear outside noises that Rico's a kickboxer. He's only going to last 4 or 5 rounds, but he actually done, amazingly better than anyone thought. And maybe that's partly the commentators. Everybody loves the underdog, and he was doing better. So apparently the commentators had him 9 or whatever rounds up, which is no concern of mine as the referee. But I did notice from round 10, his energy levels seemed to have fallen a bit, and he was still coming forward, but he was missing with lots of shots, and he was getting caught with more shots. Usyk seemed to be landing cleaner on him. Come the 10th round onwards, I don't think there was the same head movement. Anyway, as we've seen in the 11th round, near the end of the 11th round, he caught him with that peach of an uppercut, and Rico fell forward, fell through the bottom rope. His gum shield came out. Now, or mouthpiece, as we call it as well. I don't think he actually spat it out, but I couldn't see. I just seen the uppercut land, the mouthpiece come out, and he went through the ropes. He got up. He looked exhausted. I was, 2 feet from him, looking in his eyes. He had his hands up on the top ropes. I got to 8. I asked him to walk to me. Sort of very stiff-legged. He put 1 foot forward, but he kept just showing me he had no mouthpiece. Maybe if I thought he'd spat it out, I could have picked that mouthpiece straight back up and put it in, and not taken the advantage away from Usyk and let them box on. I wanted to really have a good look at his legs, but I wanted the mouthpiece procedure to be a lot quicker than it did. I called him. He was very unsteady as he come to his corner. The corner stumbled, putting it in. And again, in my mind, it's taken the advantage away from Usyk. But I wanted to be really close because I knew his legs were so unsteady. They came back in. Usyk caught him with 4 or 5 real good punches. One of them, a big right hook, and Rico's head went, and I could see his eyes. At that point, for me, I needed to stop the fight. I knew it was close to the end of the round, but that wasn't my concern. My concern was I didn't want him taking any more clean shots. I stopped the fight, and and that was it. The time was given 2:59. I never heard any bell go, but whether or not the bell was go, I was stopping the contest at that time. For me, he was gone in that split second. I know these are fit guys, real fit guys, and 10 or 15 seconds later, they're good. But at that moment when I stopped it, he'd taken a good, clean hit, and I seen his eyes roll, and I wanted to get in there. So that was my reasoning for stopping the contest at that point.
Thanks, Mark. I have a question. I think Jack.
We're gonna play 2 short videos. Gilbert has them. It's the knockdown.
Okay, good.
And then the time of the stoppage.
Okay.
Sometimes in Zoom, the image is not as good as we wish, but let's see how it shows up. Gil, can you please play those 2 videos, the knockdown, and then let's see how it comes out. I think one was a wrong video, but anyway, before the knockdown, Rico received 3-4 heavy blows, then a very strong uppercut. One point I like to discuss first, the mouthpiece. What you just said, Mark, you could have gotten the mouthpiece and put it right in. That's your feeling after the fact. You believe that would have been the best procedure. Is that correct?
I think now, thinking about it, maybe it was taking the advantage away from Usyk. But at that point, when I'd asked Rico, I removed his arms from the top ropes. I asked him towards me. He took one stiff leg forward, and he was showing me his mouthpieces out. And I thought I could have maybe done the procedure a lot quicker. I picked his mouthpiece up and I said, quickly, quick. And he stumbled. And at that point, I thought, really, I should have let him get on with it. But so I felt it was taking the advantage away from Usyk. But I did want to have a good look at Rico coming forward. And as he come forward, he was very unsteady on them legs towards the corner. The corner kind of fumbled getting their mouthpiece back in. And then I called them together, and Usyk was straight on him, 4 or 5 clean, heavy punches from a big guy. And at that point, I thought I didn't want to see any more.
Mark, from what you have seen and what you've thought, do you think now you should have put the mouthpiece in?
Yes, I think maybe it's one of them. I was also thinking, we're in a sandy place, the wind and everything. A dirty mouthpiece going back in his mouth. I don't know. I wanted to maybe have a good look at Rico when he stood as well. Yeah. I did call him forward. He took one small step where he was like Frankenstein. He was very stiff on his legs. I picked the mouthpiece up and said quickly to the corner, but it took too long. It took too long, the mouthpiece procedure.
Yeah. I asked that question not thinking you should have. I asked that question because I felt you were talking so much about it that maybe you had given a second thought. I want to do something interesting here, and it's not in the form of any criticism of you. I think you're one of the world-class referees that we have. But I know that Jack Reese is on. You're still there, aren't you, Jack?
Yes, sir.
Jack, just not in the form of criticism. In you seeing that, and maybe you saw the fight live,
I did.
what would you recommend an alternative might have been in this situation?
Well, first of all, I want to say good morning to everyone. Duane and Mauricio, thank you guys for having me on here. I was very fortunate because of you, Duane. 10, 12 years ago, you helped me become one of the certified boxing referee trainers for the ABC. And what we do at the ABC is what Mauricio just spoke about. We're trying to get everybody on the same page, and we're trying to put out best practices. And all these situations throughout the history of boxing, they've come up before. And we put out a referee's manual 3 or 4 years ago, and we addressed this situation. And I am not criticizing anybody, but I just want to make everybody aware that the best practices are in there, in my belief. And we actually have something in there, Mark, that says, that addresses this situation. When a fighter spits out the mouthpiece, he's stalling to recover. You don't want to take the advantage away. We recommend putting it right back in his mouth. In this case, I believe the condition that Rico was in, he was in trouble. If it would have been put back in his mouth, Usyk would have forced you to stop that fight very quickly afterward. So I think that, like you said already, that would have been the best way to go. And it is a recommendation of the ABC to now do that stuff.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. The only one thing in that which I don't think changes anything, but I didn't think Rico actually spat the gum shield or the mouthpiece out. I think the uppercut that landed actually knocked it out, and I don't think that makes it a great deal of difference.
It doesn't make a difference, Mark.
No, I should have, yeah.
Mark, it doesn't make a difference. What we're trying to do is get fights to go to their natural conclusion.
Yes.
And any kind of delay like that is going to cause, controversy from the people who are sitting there on the internet, like Mauricio said. So it just, we put it in there because guys take advantage, but also what happened to you happens. And I have to say this, you were perfectly within your right to stop that fight, whether it was during the round or after the round. You have the right, you're the sole arbiter.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
I want to cut it off here. So Mark, good job, good explanation. There's no criticism at all coming from anybody on this video. It just might have been a different alternative.
Yes, of course.
Duane, may I come just to close on the topic? It's very simple. Why is the custom to wash the mouthpiece? In reality, it is because the ring canvas used to be
Rosin.
with resin. They used, remember these boxes where the fighters had to go and get it, and so they don't slip in the canvas. Canvas was much dirty. It was dirty. Now what we find sometimes in canvas, what we can find is blood or sweat. But I believe that the general WBC, NABF, and boxing community position is that we do encourage the referee to take the mouthpiece and put it back on. That is, every case is different. Maybe it's the first round, it's inconsequential. If the fighter spit it out, is different than it fell out. In this case, it clearly fell out from the punch. But I am extremely proud of Mark Lyson stopping the fight. For everyone, I was there. It seemed a little bit awkward because it was a great fight. And Rico was doing much better than anyone expected. But Mark Lyson is the only person who could see the eyes of Rico, the reactions. And when the fight resumed after the mouthpiece went on, Usyk was all over Rico. So as closing for this specific example, I believe we all as referees have to understand that you can take the mouthpiece, put it back on. There is no, that is the mechanic that we want to promote. If it's inconsequential and you see that there's dirty, whatever, you can do the different things. But in general, the mouthpiece replacement is one thing. Second thing, the referee has the life of the fighter in your hands, and that's all we care. We don't care if there's 1 second or 2.5 minutes left, or it's the first round or the 12th round. Whatever you see, and in the expertise of level that you are appointed to the level of the fights, it's not the same a 4-rounder. A 4-rounder who is hurt, you better stop it earlier. He has a much longer career in the future. But it's a world heavyweight championship fight, and you saw it and you stopped it. So my personal comment to Mark Lyson is I applaud you, support you, and thank you for sharing your thoughts on this topic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mauricio and Mark. Next time, Mark, when we have you speak, we'll have an interpreter here for you. So I have a question. It's in the form of a question, but it's also something we would like to see the referees do, is that if you stop the fight because the fighter's hurt, when the ring announcer is going to announce the winner, don't bring that guy back up to the center of the ring. When you stop the fight because he's hurt and damaged, don't bring him to the center of the ring to be humiliated again. Only bring both fighters to the center of the ring for the announcement if it's a scoring decision. You have any backup on that, Mauricio?
We've been discussing this topic very much. This has to do very much with amateur officials. All amateur fights, you are required to bring both fighters and hold their hands. And then, even if it was a knockout, whatever, both are holding hands and they make the announcement, they raise the hand of the winner. In professional boxing, if there is a knockout, the fight has ended, it's over. You do not need to bring the opponent to the announcement. If the opponent is there, or if you decide to bring it, or the promoter or the TV, and you have both fighters right there, and they're going to do the official announcement, knockout the 7th round by the new champion, you don't hold both hands. And you can either not even hold any hands, and just when they make the announcement, raise the hand of the winner. It is embarrassing to have been knocked out and then be brought to the center of the ring and still be holding your hand to see if it's completely, but it comes all the way from the amateur side of boxing. But please, everyone, I see this happening a lot of in Europe, that the referees hold both hands, even if it was a knockout. So that has to be the policy. The mechanics is if it's a knockout, you just raise the hand of the winner of the fight.
Plus, Mauricio, if you bring the loser, you're taking time away from the corner people to continue to observe him and the doctor look at him. Please think of his safety. Let him stay in the corner and just hold up the hand of the winner. Is there any questions on that? I just want to make sure we have an understanding as to what the WBC really wants the referees to do in that. Is there anyone that has any comment about that subject?
Stephen Blea.
Okay, so we all understand it.
No, I think Stephen wanted to say something.
What I wanted to say was that with this rule, shouldn't this be like in the ABC rules? Because like in the state of Colorado, we have a set of rules, but I think it should be instilled in all the ruling, because a lot of times our WBC rules, when you try to do them in a different jurisdiction, they say, no, that's not our rule. So that's a question I have.
Well, Steve, that's a different question.
No.
It's not a rule. This is a suggestion to
But
our,
I'm saying we should put it in the rules,
no,
don't you think? No?
We are
No.
playing with words. Let me explain. This is mechanics. It's not rules. So the mechanics, the ideal way, there have been, the WBC has had the ring officials booklet guidelines for decades. Jack just mentioned about a booklet from 4 years ago or something. The ABC has had a training program. The EBU has a program. We have to understand we're talking about the world. This is a WBC meeting, and we are continuously, this master class is part of the process. We want to have feedback and to continue the process of universally having the same thoughts and the same mechanics. So, the WBC mechanic for after the fight, you do not bring the loser if he was knocked out, unless it's a decision. You have both fighters with you with both hands held. Any other result, you only have the winner. Okay?
Does anybody have a general question? If not, I have a different subject. Any questions at this about what we've discussed? Let me bring a subject up that's a little sensitive, but yet it's not. I'm a big sports crazy person that likes all the sports out there: NFL football, baseball, basketball. I don't like NFL, NBA, hockey. And I used to be a baseball umpire in my previous life. And it was one of the most enjoyable things to walk on the field and hear the boos from the fans. And that's part of baseball. But there's a decorum in baseball with the umpires. And that decorum is they dress a certain way, they stand a certain way, they have their signals between each other, and they have a professional look about them. The one thing that I have never seen a baseball or an NFL official ever do is to take and walk over to the fans and sign an autograph. I think it is a poor taste for our referees, for our judges. If you were in your uniform and in the stadium, you should not communicate with the crowd in the form of signing autographs. If you have your uniform on, just be an official. This could be really distracting for you. But better yet, it makes us all look like a team. Anybody have any thought on that?
I believe it goes very well with the policy of social media. A ring official is the one responsible for judging or refereeing. A supervisor is responsible for the job they do during a fight. Boxing is so different from all other sports. In soccer, football, NFL, NBA, there is no moment of interaction between the officials. They just go to the field, they do their job, and they leave the field. Boxing judges and referees are sitting in the audience, go to the backstage, go to the bathroom. They have the opportunity to mingle. They're there for 6-8 hours. So it's a difference. But I'm interested in listening to Tom Taylor's point. Please go ahead, Tom.
Sorry, Mauricio, I need to unmute myself there. So I get what you're saying, Duane, And unlike any other sport, we are so much more easily accessible to our fans of the sport of boxing. I'm kind of the opinion that not only are we, referees and judges and inspectors, but we're also ambassadors to our sport. And when we've got a fan who would like to talk to us and ask us about a scenario, or why do you guys do this, or why do you do this, aren't we being a better ambassador to the sport and educating educating a fan? And, I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and their shoulders are real tense and they want to ask me a question real intently. And by the time I'm done explaining to them why we do what we do and the philosophy behind what we do, I literally can see those shoulders drop. They have a different demeanor, and they more times than not say, you know what? I never knew that before. So what I do in that opportunity is I tell them, now you go tell your friends at the next fight party you're at, and you become the smartest person in the room and educate them as why we do what we do. So I look at it as an opportunity to be an ambassador to our sport and not turn these fans away from us going, oh, that referee won't even, or that judge won't even talk to me, or they're stuck up and they just, I think we're missing an opportunity to keep fans of boxing, and also an opportunity to maybe educate them when they have questions. That's just my feeling.
Jack, you're not, as a referee, you're in the building in your uniform to referee the fight. You're not an ambassador for anybody. You're there to referee the fight. Now, and when you walk in the arena, you should totally be 100%, not be an ambassador and explaining, doing a seminar with the fans. I think that Harvey Dock, I think, is a great example of somebody that comes to the arena, visits with the officials, kind of stays out of the limelight, puts his uniform on, walks to the ring, and comes out, talks to the people after the fight. But I think an official needs to stay away from the fans and not be an instructor as an ambassador until they get out of the ring and done with their job. Because I think it's distracting, I think it's showboating, and I think it hurts the sport more than helps it.
I see both points. I believe this has never been discussed, and perhaps we could work on a protocol of ring officials officiating on fight day. What is what they have to do? Whoever has been in Japan is perfect. You have a very nice meeting room with sandwiches, and you can relax, sit down, be with your fellow officials. If you want to walk out and watch a couple of fights to warm up, you can do that and then just come back. It's a perfect scenario. But if you go to the Aztec Stadium and you have 100,000 people and the promoter did not provide even a seat for the officials to sit or a room to meet, every card is different. I believe we should work on a protocol which can consider different scenarios. Ideally, when you have that uniform on, you are set to work and should only be concentrated on the work you're going to do and try to be with your fellow officials or be in the back and have the less interaction, because concentration is the key. Anything a fan says to you, anything a hater says to you, anything a manager, promoter says to you before you climb into the ring or sit in your judge's seat can stick in your mind. So let's work on a protocol of fight day. I think it's a good take from this meeting. Agreed?
Good point, Mauricio. The next area that I wanted to kind of talk about is how do you prepare for a fight? Let's hear some of your ways that you individually prepare for the fight.
Barry Lindemann, how do you prepare for a fight? What do you do fight day?
I certainly take a nap early afternoon and try to relax because it's typically going to be a late night. Um, I eat very lightly. Don't want to have any stomach issues or anything like that. And then I turn my brain into fight mode. And my wife criticizes me sometimes because I have this tunnel vision. But like Duane said, we're there to do a job, and I'm, hyper focused on what I'm, being asked to do by the WBC. So I like to call it relaxed concentration.
Should an official drink beer, wine, whiskey one night before or the day of the fight?
Well,
No.
according to Harvey Gibbs in England, he could score the fight better with a few pints.
That's one of the keys.
Yeah.
When we go out overseas, especially, or to a different country, promoters feel the need to be hospitable. So we are invited to very nice dinners or luncheons or tours, and there's the culture. So the WBC guideline recommendation is at least the night before the fight not to ingest anything that has alcohol, and a very easy early time to go to bed. We have a video. Gilbert, I don't know if you have it ready. I loved it. It happened this past weekend. I want to hear from everybody. So let's see how it plays out. Who can explain what happened? What is this scenario? What did we just saw? Is that Phil Austin?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Don Mauricio. Well, in that situation, one opponent has basically almost thrown the other guy out of the ring. He's not been knocked out of the ring, so it's not like you need to put a 20 count on. From what I saw, he's been like a matador. He's basically ushered him, used his momentum against him.
Sorry. Our rules and guidelines completely cover the scenario of a punch and the fighter going down all the way to the floor. You have 20 seconds, you cannot be assisted, blah, 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 blah. This time, there was no punch. They were wrestling, and that action led to fly him out of the ring. I see the judge. Anybody has a comment of what the judge did?
He fell on the floor.
Got out of the way. He did not touch the boxer. He moved out of the way. He didn't touch the boxer, which is what he's not supposed to do. So I thought he did a great job by getting out of the way and letting the fight go.
I have, of course, every ring side is different. That side could have been full of photographers, or could have been full of or the commission table. But coincidentally, in this side, it was only, I believe it was Alan Krebs, if I'm not mistaken. Usually, when we see a fighter in danger that is possibly coming out of the ring, the immediate reaction is try to help. So let's think about this. What should a judge do in a situation like this? And now everything is so fast, so quick. In boxing, you never know what's going to happen. That's the greatness of the sport. But what should have happened? We saw the judge, he got out of the way and he fell. So that's okay. He fell. He went the other way. Then the promoter and the manager of the fighter tried to help. Is there a rule against that when somebody's thrown out of the ring? Phil?
Not if he's thrown out of the ring, no. If a fighter is knocked out of the ring by a punch, then he's got to return unassisted. There was no punch landed, so in that situation, that doesn't apply. I do agree with Tim on the point of the judge getting out of the way being a good thing to do, because I think we all know that in this sport, perceptions kill. And if you've got a judge actively helping a fighter, some people are going to misconstrue that, whether by agenda or ignorance. So I do think it was good for that, but definitely there's no rule. There was no punch landed, so there's no problem with the promoter or his manager helping him up.
So Mauricio, it appears to me that the fighter pushed and shoved it, threw him out of the ring. So would you not be dealing with an intentional foul someplace, referees? What do you think out there?
That's a great point. What happened inside the ring? What was happening? What led to that action? There was some hustling and there was some wrestling, and then there was a clear shoving and throwing someone out of the ring.
Could Gilbert reel that up again?
Gilbert, please play the video again.
You experienced referees, give us your thoughts after.
I clearly see the manager and the promoter not wanting to help, afraid of the rule that you have to come back unassisted. That's a clear thing. But we need to hear from the referees. What happened? What did one fighter do to the other? What was the referee's reaction? I don't know if we have the full tape, but when he came back, I believe the round was nearly over. There was no point deduction. He just warned both and said, keep it clean. Comments, please. Buyundu, Arnold, you want to talk? You have a... We cannot hear you, Buyundu. Go ahead, Tom Taylor.
Yeah, Tom, what would you have done? What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts there were clearly we had a very frustrated fighter who, without a doubt, it was an intentional throw and threw him out of the ring. So in that situation, I think the judge did the right thing by getting out of the way, the promoter and the manager both not touching him, because you need to assess, where is he at? Where is he? Has he been injured? What's his ability to continue? Clearly, he was able to get up and get back in the ring. But in that situation, we've got an intentional foul without injury. So in my opinion, and what I would have done is I clearly would have taken a point to set precedent in that fight that this isn't going to happen the rest of this fight. We're going to clean this thing up. So I'm taking away 1 point, not 2 points because we didn't have an injury, but I'm taking away 1 point for an intentional foul without injury, and would have went back to and look back at the fighter and say, this can't happen again, and let's go back to action.
So Tom, let's say he was injured. What are your options?
My options first is let me make sure this guy can continue. All right. If he's hobbling around and I'm going to give him, if we need to, I'm going to give him a 5-minute period to gather himself and try to get back to somewhat neutral and assess what the injury may be. If he's able to continue, same same mechanic, but instead of 1 point, I'm now taking 2 points because I've got a fighter who's slightly depleted, is not back to 100% where he was before the injury, and I'm taking 2 points away from the fighter who threw him out of the ring.
When would you disqualify him?
If the fighter couldn't continue. You know, if the fighter can't continue because of that action, I mean, it's very black and white. If he can't continue, we've got an intentional foul that the fighter can no longer continue. We're disqualifying him.
Does everybody understand what Tom just said? Because he's dead on.
Jack Reese.
Anybody have any questions?
I'd like to just clarify this rule, these fights go under the auspices of the unified rule set. And the unified rules say a referee, remember, under the unified rules, there is a mandatory 2-point deduction for an intentional foul that causes an injury. So what we're saying is, if it does, like Tom said, if it doesn't cause an injury, the referee has discretion. And I agree with Tom 100%. It was intentional with no effect. It definitely deserved the point in this scenario.
Good point, Jack. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Good point, but I'm not sure we agree with that. Because if it's an intentional foul, it's regardless if you injure or not injure, has to be 2 points. So we will discuss this. This is
Mauricio, I totally understand, but the way the ABC rules are written for the unified is with injury. And the reason I would believe it should be a point is it's like attempted murder is a crime, but murder is a greater crime. And just because the guy wasn't successful in trying to injure him, he should still be penalized for it. And like Tom said, it sets the tone. And honestly, if when he threw him out, he couldn't continue, he would have had to disqualify him. So his actions needed to be admonished with at least 1 point, in my opinion.
So I just want to point out that in the WBC rules, it's mandatory. However, the WBC, when we're going under unified rules, we always acquiesce to what the rules are locally. And that's why, referees, you need to know what zone you're in. And that's why you have the rules meeting. And that's why you have the commission.
This action could have turned out to be a huge controversy. The fighter who is down, he could have stayed down and said, my rib is broken, I cannot walk, I cannot continue. Then it would have been a huge problem. So,
and that's why the referee would never show his hand until he got that fighter back in the ring, said, are you ready to go? And then he would take care of it by taking the points. But that guy could have faked it, and that fight would have been over if he wanted to.
Yeah, and we've seen that many times.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things we're going to continue to implement here in the WBC University, it's going to be a hub where you can find actions that you can watch, review, and comment. It's we're working on the technology to have that ability for officials to watch and comment, and then we can do forums. Our intention is there's so many actions that have happened. Gilbert, I think you have another one of someone throwing out of the ring. Can you please play it?
An athletic fighter, boxer, puncher, used to play college basketball at the University of New Haven. Like I mentioned before, named after Cassius Clay. He definitely, Bomac, at 6'6", fits what we have right now in the heavyweight division, those super heavyweights, if you will, kind of like what you were talking about, the Tyson Furies, the Wilders, the Anthony Joshuas. As he already got Cottle hurt. Shady goes down to the body and back up top with a combination to the head. Can he finish Cottle in round 1? Cottle is wobbly. Is he gonna go down? Oh my goodness! Oh, and out of the ring goes Cottle head first. barely beat the count working his way back into the ring. Bomac, have you ever seen a fighter go out of the ring head first on a knockdown?
No, I've seen a fighter go up the ring before, but not head first.
And he's still in there for some more.
Thank you, Gilbert. So this is a similar scenario, but it's a real knockdown. And any comments on the referee mechanics on this action? I think he did very well. Nobody would like to comment?
Hola, Mauricio. Soy Analía Maradona.
Hola, Analia.
Hola, mira, yo entiendo lo que hablan, pero no puedo hablarlo en inglés. Puedo comentar lo que veo en esta situación, si vos podés traducirlo, por favor.
I will
Vos lo que
translate
querés.
for Analia, yes.
Bueno, lo que veo es, sí, es un golpe legal el que recibe, por lo que cae fuera del ring. En estos casos, nosotros los referees tenemos 20 segundos que contarle al boxeador que cae fuera del ring.
She clearly saw the knockdown, the fighter out of the ring. You have 20 seconds to go back into the ring. We hear that every rules meeting, but it doesn't happen very often. Look at everything that the referee has to do at that moment in that clip. He sees the knockdown, he sees he's down. The timekeeper is doing a good job continuing the timekeeping because the referee is busy. And then he continues and see that the fighter climbs and makes sure he's ready to go. I believe that's a great example. I don't know who the referee was. Anybody knows the name?
I think it was Jack Reese. I'm not sure.
No, sir. It was David Brazlau out of Maryland, a fine referee, an excellent referee.
Okay.
He's on the call, Mauricio. He's on this call.
Oh, where is he? I don't see him.
He's probably hiding right now, but he's on the call. Second
Hi,
page.
everyone. I'm here.
Good
Unfortunately,
job,
I'm
David.
not on the screen.
Good
Okay.
job, David. Good job.
David, I believe you did a sensational job. Different things could have happened. I think you handled it perfectly. I don't know. Did you have is that fight in your home state?
Yeah, that was an undercard of a ESPN show back in 2019. It was the first time I'd ever had a fighter go out the ring like that. Since then, I've had it happen about 10 times, so it gave me a lot of experience to be able to handle it moving forward. But thank you very much for the compliment.
But you handled it well, David.
And how was your interaction with the timekeeper? Before, after, during, after? Was there any comment about this? Because in my opinion, the timekeeper continuing to clap gave you the great sense of opportunity. You could not take the count and follow what the fighter was doing. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm lucky to have a very experienced timekeeper who knew when he went out the ring that it wasn't a 10-second count, but a 20-second count, and helped keep me in line so I could focus on making sure that the fighter was okay and could get back into the ring. So, yes, I would totally agree with that.
That was great teamwork. That was great teamwork.
Super.
Group, did we lose you, Mauricio?
Sorry, I was in mute. Any other topic that you would like to discuss additionally to what we have said?
While you're thinking, I have one last. I'm sure at one time in your life, you've been in a courtroom or you've seen it on television or in movies, and you always see the attorneys come in, they're well-dressed, and they're just pristine in front of a judge. So why do you think the WBC or the states or other sanctioning bodies have uniforms? Well, jumping forward, it's so you maintain a decorum, that you're looking professional. And that the more professional you look, the better the tough situations can handle. So where I'm going on this is referees should keep themselves physically in shape. If you have a big belly hanging over and dragging over the fence, you kind of lose your decorum in the ring, and they don't respect you as much as if you had those tight-fitting pants that Tom Taylor wears. But what I'm saying is, thank goodness we have some great-looking, physically fit referees out there that take this serious, and they take putting their uniform on serious. Today, I've really enjoyed, because we got to hear from some people we haven't met, some great ideas. I got to exchange with Tom Taylor. These are ideas that are never discussed, and we have the privilege on this master's class of listening to any one of you and exchanging ideas. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. But I'm really pleased in the referees that I've seen work lately. They're in shape, and their gig lines lined up, not the buckle over here. And you military people know what I mean by gig line. Mauricio, thanks for including me.
Who am I to talk about belly? I have my big belly. But I have spoken to a few of our referees. Daniel Van de Wiel, he's in the call, and he's a great legendary ring official as a judge and as a referee. And I talked to him and I said, you either lose that belly or you're going to be sitting as a judge for the rest of your life. And he did a supervisor role this past weekend, sensational. We all have to understand that there is a moment in which your career in one part of the sport has to come to an end. Jack Reese has retired as referee. Is that correct? Now he's judging.
Yes, sir.
Now he's judging. Tommy Kaczmarek, the time he felt he was a little bit off, with so much dignity, retired from judging. And we all owe to the sport, especially to the boxers, our full physical and mental ability to officiate. I am extremely grateful to everyone who has come on this masterclass on Wednesday. We have it the first Wednesday of every month. We invite you to send questions. We need to work closely with the WBC University. We're trying to build a more robust technology for training that you can do yourself. I like this hub of actions. I receive every week 2-3 clips from all around the world. Gilbert, I don't know if you can put the pictures of the doctor and the referee in Japan. We have the green and the red card for a reason. This is the way of communicating. So we have a Thai boxer, a Japanese referee, a Japanese doctor, and a Mexican referee. That's why we have the green and the red cards, because you can take off the pictures now. He stopped the fight. In Japan, if you bow forward, it means no. If you go the other way, it means yes. And the contrary, it depends. Si quieres, ya quita la foto. So there's so many things that happen, especially when we go outside of our jurisdictions to a different state, to a different country, and we have to be prepared. So I am extremely excited to see so many people joining today. We're going to review and repeat this masterclass. You will be very helpful if you send us guidelines, questions, recommendations, actions to continue improving together. The main key, what we want to do, is for every referee, every judge to work under the same language. And I'm not talking about English, Japanese, French, or Spanish, but it is the mechanics, the same absolute uniformity. What one judge sees has to be the same that the other judge is seeing. So I would like to thank WBC University, Xochitl, every single person who showed up, my mentor, Duane Ford, and we will continue with these master classes. You are all welcome to participate and to give us feedback. And I wish you a sensational month of June. It's going to be full of football and soccer, little boxing, but we'll be in constant communication. God bless everyone. Thank you so much and have a great
Stay
week.
well.
All right.
Stay well.
See you later.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
one.
Take care. God bless everybody.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.